This is a Home Depot pickup truck, and everyone that you see in this shot is about to be stuffed inside it to make the world's first mobile studio that's built inside of a Home Depot pickup truck. So here's the thing. Like so many of you, this video or this video or this video, these were my very first introductions to Mk.gee. And if you can't tell, that's our boy Michael on, I think, a moving train car, a moving city bus, and what's that? On top of a pickup truck. Actually, that might just be the bus again, but whatever, it's a moving vehicle. Now these live versions are a little bit different. To me, they sound almost more Mk.gee than the studio versions. The guitars are more distorted and kind of more flanged out. They have this sort of 80s laser beam-like effect. The vocals are less processed and more distant, and it's kind of more reminiscent of his work with Dijon on Absolutely. And more importantly, these were the videos that made me go, how the f did he do that? How's he making his guitar sound like that? Is all the gear in the back of the Dream Police bus actually doing anything? Where's the microphone? Are they using the camera microphone? Is there like a hidden lav mic? Maybe there's a condenser mic out of the frame of the camera? How much of this is live? Are these band members that are in the bus actually playing? Or is most of this overdubbed and processed after the fact? Is he actually even playing at all? In order to find out, we're gonna try and make this ourselves. We're gonna load up our own version of a Mk.gee guitar rig. We're gonna find a tenor vocalist, and we're gonna find some old 1980s drum machine. Put all those people inside of a pickup and go find the nearest sunset, much to the behest of every upstate New York driver that we definitely got in the way of. The goal is to try at least to make as accurate of a cover of Mk.gee's Candy as we can. This one is a real doozy, and I know I say this every single time, but this is probably the hardest one that we've ever made. And that's for one main reason that I'll explain in this next section called... Seriously, we don't. Normally with these videos we have like old archive footage, tape-op forums, sometimes footage of artists in the studio, or artist or producer interviews. We don't have any of that. Mk.gee has done 2 interviews in total. One of them with the BBC, which is a fantastic interview, but has kind of no relevancy to what we're doing here today. And the other one is from like 3 years ago, and we've all latched onto it as like the Mk.gee tone Bible. But in reality, it's only like 4 minutes of the entire video. And it's from when he was a touring guitarist with Dijon. It has some relevancy, but as you'll soon see, it's kind of just the foundations, the beginning of the rig that he ended up using in his solo work. So I'm gonna get all the obvious knowledge that a lot of people already know out of the way. People already know this because online personalities like me, or this guy, or this guy, or this guy, or this guy, have covered it 1,000 times by now. Mk.gee runs a Jaguar with flat wound baritone strings. He's playing in baritone tuning, and he's running directly into a Tascam 424. This Porta Studio has very clean DI signals until you hit it hard. Then it has this sort of trademark distortion. This information has been run into the ground, and boomers and millennials love to clown on it. Guitar pedal companies are emulating the sound to great success, and guitar magazines everywhere are writing clickbait articles to View Farm. We all know that part. Is my camera crooked? Yes. His signature pedals are a Boss BF3 flanger and of course the Ranger Effects reverb. This is a distortion reverb, weird combination of things. You can set a gate on it, so above a certain level when he's playing really hard and smacking the guitar like this. This, in combination with that clipping preamp and really high levels of dynamics, essentially creates 2 different tones. One clean DI tone and one distorted, very reverberant tone. This is essentially all the information that 3-year-old interview gave us. But tone sleuths on Reddit would find out some new information, particularly by taking a bunch of photos of the rig on the stage. I gotta be honest, I can't tell if I would really love these dudes or they would be really intolerable in a conversation. And they discovered these bad boys. These are the Roland VG8 guitar synth systems. They're from like the 1990s. And as Reddit kindly pointed out in my last video, I just thought these were regular synths. I didn't know that tone in the video was a guitar. So let's build this rig based off of some assumptions. And let me tell you why I think this is only kind of helpful. Okay, I'm gonna have to read the script for this one. The baritone flat wound Jag runs directly into the Roland VG8 via a Roland Mk pickup. That's then directly ported into the Roland VG8. The VG8 will then have multiple different outputs, one for the guitar synth and one for the dry guitar signal. Now, one of these signals will presumably run through the pedal board, or perhaps both. We don't know. And then both of them will make their way to the Tascam 424. This could then be directly blended as a mono out, or they could be sent as two separate outputs. This leaves us with some unknowns, specifically what signals are running into what effects. Not to mention the budgetary restraints of this rig as well. The VG8s are skyrocketing in price, and that's just the guitar. What about the drums? Are the drums being played live? Is that a drum machine being played to a click? Are there any actual synths that are supporting the guitar synth? How are those vocals being recorded? Things to address in due time. But for now, let's build this guitar rig. That's recording. That's recording. So we began the search with today's sponsor, Guitar Center. That's right, your boy got a Guitar Center sponsorship. 9-year-old me would be so happy right now. They were super chill. They had one rule: find the rig using their used inventory, which was honestly like the easiest rule ever. We need a Jag. We also need a very specific effects pedal as well. I'm gonna get the Fender Johnny Marr, and there's a reason for that. We're gonna have to modify this. We're gonna put baritone strings on these. These have deeper seated fret saddles, and I think that's gonna accommodate the bigger strings a little bit more. So I'm gonna add that to our cart. Pretty cool that I get to do this. This is pretty fun. Jags are already notorious for having the strings slip off the bridge. So whenever we smack the guitar really hard, like we will inevitably do, like this, the strings will not slip off like they would probably a regular Jag. So I went to Guitar Center to go pick it up. I got it set up in the store with the proper size of flat wound strings. I gotta give a quick shout out to Marcus, who did all of this work. I'm gonna let him explain everything he did. If you're in New York City and you need your guitar set up, I highly recommend going to him, because as you'll see, he really did go above and beyond.
So the first thing I did, remove the old strings, get a little bit of a cleaning. I conditioned the fretboard with some lemon oil, checked the neck relief, which was good. Treble side was a little low, bass side was a little bit high, so just tweaked that with an Allen key. Ending these nut slots with some of these files right here. After that is adjusting the intonation with these little screws back here on the back of the saddle, and then that's pretty much it.
Cool, man. I appreciate you so much. Thank you.
No problem at all.
This is not a VG8. This is a VG88. That's the successor of the VG8. I bought it on Guitar Center's used site for a smooth $400 rather than like $1,200. But here's the thing, even though the VG88 is the successor to the VG8, and there's a bunch of new things on the VG88, the tones that are on it are actually different than the VG8. Just, I guess, Roland being Roland. I mean, it's one number off. How different could it be? After putting on the GK pickup, in theory, the rig was ready. Now we just needed to dial in a tone.
All right, here we go. All right, let's go to Bode.
Okay, watching back this footage, it seems like past me can't speak and play guitar at the same time. So let me update you on how we've gotten to this point so far. Right now, we're plugged straight into the VG88. We're taking a preset called Acoustic Piezo and we're modifying it by hitting the guitar button. Then we're going to a preset called Bode. I assume this is supposed to kind of emulate a string sound. It's 1996 or whatever, so you know. Then I'm going into the amp modeler and I'm adjusting the balance of presence and treble to be a lot darker than the preset originally was. That's then going directly into the pedal board, meaning the Ranger Effects Reverb and the Boss Flanger, which I also bought at the used section of Guitar Center Union Square, and then straight into the Tascam 414, which is clipping ever so slightly, or sometimes a lot, depending on how I adjusted the levels. Also, any of this gear that's available as a new product at Guitar Center will be linked down below, just in case you wanted to try and build this rig yourself. I'm sure I'll be back in a second whenever I inevitably don't explain something again.
Probably should have learned some Mk.gee stuff before I did this. Oh, and that's just the regular guitar output now.
So that switch on the Mk4 wouldn't allow me to send both the dry guitar signal and the VG88 synth straight into the pedal board, so I had to make a decision. I decided to send the synth tone into the pedal board and take the guitar as a clean output. That's then going into the 414 and again, slightly clipping. Ideally in the mix, if necessary, we can reamp this tone later, meaning we'll take it out of the DAW, straight through the pedal board, duplicate the sound, and then back into the DAW. All of this together, alongside another 45 minutes of uncut footage of me experimenting, resulted in this tone.
This is the ride. It's got a really big bed, which hopefully means we have plenty of space for a good shot. Now all we have to do is find a sunset, and also we have to route all the audio through here.
Now, while grabbing this Home Depot truck, it occurred to me, walking into the day of this shoot, how little I actually know. I'd figured out some semblance of a Mk.gee tone, like everyone else on this internet. I'd gotten close, but there are still so many unknowns. Now, upon a bunch of listens, I can tell you that the Candy live version was not played to a click. It appears to be in some regards being played live, but with a bunch of additional overdubs. We can hear examples of overdubs here, and here, and here. The track floats around 116 BPM, but speeds up and slows down depending on the section. The guitar solo, for example, is faster. Without the presence of a percussionist in sight, my best guess is that Mk.gee is playing all the parts that we see on camera live. Someone is going back with either a drum machine or a drum kit, playing percussion behind him, and all this orchestration, all these overdubs are being added underneath. So with all of that knowledge and still a lot of unknowns, it was time to give it a shot. So we all convened outside the city, and I immediately had a worry.
All the noise comes from this.
Okay. Jamming a sound blanket in there, there's nothing really to jam in there.
Well, it's just the aluminum cover for the lights.
The truck was really loud and really rattly.
There we go.
Sorry. My bad.
I mean, this is a work truck. It gets sent to construction sites. It's not supposed to be used for anything related to audio. And the first hour of the entire trip was basically just spent figuring out where we could put the musicians in order to reject the most amount of the truck as possible while still getting some decent shot. This was all pretty worrying because of the vocal production choices that I decided to try. We mic'd Ethan, which he'll mix your song or produce your song if you want, hit him up here, with a lav mic for a direct sound, and then I told him to put the OC818, a really sensitive condenser, really far away from him. This was to try and get that distant, really far removed vocal production sound of the Candy live version. So because of all that, the truck actually posed a pretty major concern for the vocal. Also, like cars flying by and revving their engines because they're angry.
You just like to fantasize. Look at you like to fantasize.
You can see how I thought we were maybe in over our heads a little bit here, right? We decided to position the performers at the very back of the truck facing the cab. Since most of the problem was coming from that mesh grill right there, this will give the most amount of rejection to the vocal mic. And after a quick safety inspection to make sure nobody fell out, we started setting up. So the guitar rig that we designed earlier in this video was put in all different spots inside of this truck. The guitar pedals and the VG88 were all put in the bed of the truck with Dan, the guitarist. You guys know Dan from the Beatles shoot and from Wolfpack and Juice. You can also take lessons with him, so you can hit him up here. Then all the cables were taken out of that system and put through the window. So I had the Tascam 414, by the way, same preamps, I don't know if I said that already, as the 424. That was in the cab with me alongside the Scarlett and the laptop. It was pretty hard to get in.
Okay, I gotta get like under there.
I know, that's why, hold on.
I'm locked in.
Also, by the end of it, all the heat from all those devices had drenched all of my legs in sweat. You didn't need to know that, but now you do. And then from an external headphone amp, we sent the signal back out to the performers. They had IEMs in so they could hear themselves. This was all powered by a silent electric generator that was sitting on Michael's lap while he played the drums. The drums that we didn't even get to use because halfway through the shoot, it just broke. He has no idea that this is not doing anything right now, and I did all the drums with MIDI later. So if they're out of time, it's me. I did that. If you don't want your drums to be out of time, you can hire Michael to do your drums for you. I know many of you have taken him up on that. Highly recommend it. You can hit him up right here. So this was all chaos, as you can see, but somehow it worked.
Start driving first and then I'll launch it.
Let's drive, yeah?
Whenever I heard the notes that you're about to hear for the first time, and it's working, and it's kind of almost in the ballpark, that was a good feeling. So by the way, Steph, who shot this entire thing, she also does all the video work for the production house Seawall Sessions, who we've worked with before. The standalone performance video is actually on the Seawall Sessions channel. So if you ever wanted to just rewatch it for fun, the link will be down below. She has a YouTube channel as well, and we did a whole podcast to go along with this episode. It's not really about Mk.gee or anything like that, but it is probably the most personal I've ever been on the internet.
Is that the intro to the video?
Is my forehead too white? So if you wanted to get just kind of a behind the scenes look on me and also what these shoots look like, go check it out. It'll be linked down below. So after doing some test recordings, I'm starting to get a good idea for maybe what actually happened on these Mk.gee live videos, because this is the raw audio that we got on shoot day. And after I worked with the mix and added a bunch of other stuff, started to sound like this. If I had to guess what's happening on these shoots, it is heavy amounts of post-production. That means a ton of overdubs, a lot of automation, constantly changing what tones are and what aren't center stage. This might not be true. Mk.gee just might be on a whole nother level, and there's a ton about these videos that I don't understand and that I don't see. But this is how I got a lot closer to that Mk.gee sound through a bunch of post-processing work. Let me walk you through it because it is pretty dense. So if you can't tell already, these videos are monumental efforts. And as many of you know, YouTube works through user engagement. So a like, a comment, a subscribe, a share, all do way more than I ever thought they did. So it would mean a lot if you did that. This video has taken like 5 months to build. Also remember, if you want to see how I mixed this entire session, that is over on Patreon alongside every single other mix breakdown for every single other video. That's all for $5 a month. You can download the raw stems if you want to try and mix this yourself in the description right now. That is all the plugs. So the guitar tone that we actually got on shoot day sounded a little bit like this. There were times where this tone was pretty much exactly what we needed, like for example on the guitar solo. Check out the similarities. I was actually kind of shocked. But on the verses, we got something just a little bit too different. Mk.gee's tone seemed a lot more chill and a lot more mellow. So just through the process of sheer trial and error, I ended up overdubbing a new preset on the Roland VG88 that was just way darker and more mellow than the original one. It wouldn't have worked for the guitar solo, but blended with our live guitar, it does work for the verses and the choruses, or whatever you want to call the sections before the guitar solo. You can check it out right here. We also then blended several different layers of MIDI instruments. These are pretty buried down in the mix, but they really solidify that processed synth sound. Those are played by Jordan Robertson, which again, you can hire him for your work. You can hit him up right here. Let's stack these layers up and then compare them to the original. So you'll notice these guitars are much more synth heavy than some of the drier sounds on Are You Looking Up or Alesis. In fact, if you look at my automation lanes, you'll see that the dry guitar lanes are actually automated to be mostly completely off, except for these spikes in volume right here. These are those smacks. In my version, the entire guitar is essentially the VG88 most of the time, except for key moments when the dry guitar comes up to play a certain phrase or to hit these large swells and dynamics. And you'll see on mine, I actually have multiple different duplications of these dry guitars. I reamped them multiple different times to get different tones. Let's listen to all these different smacks reamped in a bunch of different ways. Now, even despite these realizations, I don't know if we ever completely got there. My dry sounds are like kind of chunky, and the best way I can describe Mk.gee's are they're kind of squishy. You can take a listen for yourself, and I think you'll understand. And then these hits are also exaggerated a lot through a bunch of different kinds of delays on them. There's delays that bounce around the stereo image, there's ones with more feedback, ones with less feedback, and then most of them also have a flanger or a chorus on them. There are, of course, numerous little flutters and overdubs that are being played all across the stereo image as well, like this. And then overdubs to beef up and accent certain phrases. So let's start with the live guitar synth, and let's build up all of these layers so you can see how they all kind of fit together to make the final guitar tone. I don't think that Mk.gee was using a condenser microphone just out of frame. Here's the raw vocal.
In the heat of the night you come calling, screaming like you lost all your conscience.
And eventually, I was able to get the vocal to sound like this.
In the heat of the night you come calling, screaming like you lost all your conscience.
Oh, also, The lav mic was somehow even worse. Here's the lav mic. I didn't even bother to mix it.
In the heat of the night, you come calling, screaming like you lost all your conscience.
The vocal is going through heavy EQ correction. I hit it through a Brit pre-distortion, more distortion on the Shep's Omni channel, and more EQing, compression from an LA2A, more EQing from a Pultec. It's really heavily processed to try and get all of the weight and all the mud and all of the like rumble out of the vocal. And I will say only to mild success. Then I put a kind of a wide stereo but mild slap back delay on it, and then we're left with the end vocal. Let's put it on the rest of the instrumental.
In the heat of the night, you come calling, screaming like you lost all your conscience. Well, I repeat it time and time. You're the only one I fantasize.
Okay, so I'm gonna level with you guys. This was extremely difficult. Just given how kind of secretive Mk.gee's production techniques can be, I think we had a lot of successes and a lot of things that maybe could have been better. For example, I'm really proud of the solo. I think that sounds really good, and there were some breakthroughs in the YouTube world whenever it comes to his guitar tone. But kind of gluing it all together and the production process as a whole, I mean, I can only imagine that given how weird his guitar rig is, the production process is equally as sort of foreign and alien. Mk.gee, if you're seeing this, I hope that all the blood, sweat, and tears that all the crew put into this production could potentially warrant a discussion. If you're seeing this and you're down, you can hit me up here. I'm in Brooklyn. It's a bit of a Hail Mary, but who knows? Anyways, check it out for yourself. Let me know what you guys think. This is Mk.gee's Candy live from the back of a pickup truck.
She's looking hard, she will find it. Well, Candy, you're just wasting time. You just like to fantasize. Well, Candy likes to fantasize. In the heat of the night, you come calling, screaming like you lost all your conscience. Well, I repeat it time and time. You're the only one I fantasize. You're the only one I fantasize. I've been
All right, guys. Thanks for sticking around. See you in the next one very soon. Bye-bye.